Hey everybody, welcome back. Happy Saturday night to episode number 57.
Yeah,
It's casual night tonight.
right.
Since we got dressed up for New Year's, we just figured
Right.
this is how we dress the rest of the time.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil anybody
Yeah.
thinking that we're going to dress up all the time.
Yeah, like that was a new, like we had
Right.
costume designers and things like that. We do not. So Happy New Year, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good New Year so far. It is kind of weird that in between week between Christmas and New Year's, and it's just kind of just weird and like gearing up for the work week to come. So I'm happy we've had a few more days off, which is nice. We're expected to get more snow, unfortunately, tonight in Chicago. So that's not going to be too much fun.
We had snow, I guess, Tuesday into Wednesday, and then snow yesterday, and then more snow tonight.
And ice.
Yeah, well, that was the big problem. This was a lot of ice. But
And
I
actually,
don't know.
I hate to say this right now because it's January
You
1st,
don't.
but I don't know where my winter boots are.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something like, it probably won't be a bad winter, or,
Yeah.
It's like you never want to say in March or April. I think this will probably be the
Yeah,
last.
this is it. I'm putting away my winter stuff.
We won't have any more snow, and then you get buried.
I kind of have a recollection that maybe the pair that I had last year I'd had for several years, that in my mind I threw out, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to get another pair, not knowing that shopping would come to us halt. Not that I can't do Amazon, but I was thinking about this. If I did have to walk somewhere, I have my gardening clogs. They're waterproof.
That's true.
And I thought, could that work?
Do you still have the big yellow boots, or is Claire?
They're in the closet, the rain boots, so I could do that. Oh, I do have my rain boots, although that wouldn't be for warmth, so that really wouldn't work.
I'm checking it again because it becomes an obsession. It still says snow starting around 11 p.m. all the way through to about 6 a.m., which is bad on the weekend. That's good. Well, it's really never good.
Right.
But during the week, that's not so bad because then it's over early. Get out and shovel it and whatnot. But I'm not gonna be out there at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
No.
So sorry.
And hopefully the rest of the neighborhood is not either.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. The snowblower guy from across the street will be going up and down.
Yeah. So anyway, I got to figure out that situation because obviously, as the winter progresses, I might need some actual snow boots.
Yeah, well, and I have those nice ones. We went to REI.
Oh yes.
Which, if you've never been to REI, it's a co-op.
It's
so
a wonderland.
You become a member, and they have decent prices. Although it's sort of more high-end outdoor gear. So when I say decent prices, I don't mean cheap, but I mean I have a very nice heavy Columbia Sportswear winter coat that's waterproof and very warm, and I think I paid like $200 for it or something.
But you'll
like
have that for like 20 years.
Right, and you could easily pay more than that for the equivalent,
Definitely.
kind of thing in a department store. But I bought the boots that I bought came on the recommendation of another customer.
Oh yes.
And he said that, I should have looked at them because I don't remember what the brand is. And they're fine, they're nice. But he said that soldiers in Afghanistan like these boots.
I totally forgot.
Because they keep you warm, but they're also, obviously he's talking about people who would be in colder climates, not in the desert.
Right.
But, up in the mountains. And so that seemed, and then again, they were not outrageously expensive. So I thought, oh well, that's a good recommendation. And I'm like, well, I use them for shoveling snow in the Chicago suburbs.
Right,
but,
so not quite the same.
Yeah, not quite the same.
But it's a great store because
But it was a good recommendation.
Yeah,
it
Claire got
persuaded
her climbing shoes for rock climbing there. They've got canoes. They've got camping stuff. Water bottles, running gear, you name it.
They do not have a huge selection of just standard running shoes. They do have them. I got mine there. But they do have a lot of different varieties of trail shoes. So if you're running, in a more rugged environment than on a city street or suburban street, and I think some people like trail shoes anyway for running even in ordinary circumstances because they tend to be pretty pretty sturdy. But the thing about running shoes is, you know, you have to be very particular about your shoes because that's
Super particular.
the most important thing.
Yeah, because in a previous earlier episode, we mentioned how we both ran marathons.
Yes.
And there's a brand, the brand of running shoe that I like that's worked so far is Brooks. The
Mine are
Ghost.
Brooks too.
The Ghost is the name of the actual shoe. And actually, I need to get new ones. There's a Fleet Feet running store in our town, so I think that's where I bought them, but it's been like 3
Yes.
years, so who knows if they have the same ones. But you need ones that they don't rub on the back of your ankle, they don't squeeze your toes, you know, you don't get blisters or anything like that.
And it depends on, and especially I suppose as you get older, but it also depends on things like, you know, whether you're running kind of on the outside of your feet, whether your feet kind of go in a little bit when you run, all those different things. And they design all kinds of different shoes for not just the size of your foot, but how you run, and whether you're going to be running longer distances and whatnot. So that's really important. I'm not sure how we got off on that tangent, but I did get...
Because we were talking about boots and then we started talking about shoes.
But
and
the
then,
one thing about REI I would say is that that's not necessarily their strong suit, you know, in terms of running shoes, but they did, like I said, they had a lot of different varieties of trail shoes. And you know, it's a big deal to have the right kind of footwear no matter what you're doing, because you don't want heavy boots when you're out hiking unless you need it for the weather conditions, right? You know, so I think our brother-in-law Ed, I think he's a trail shoe guy.
I can imagine that.
But he's unusual.
Yes.
No, he's a good guy.
Which actually reminded me is like that just got me off on another tangent. If one thing I hope to do this winter, if it allows, or at least in the fall or summer or spring, whatever, is going to Starved Rock, which is in Utica, Illinois. Am I correct in that?
I don't know the name of the actual town, to tell you the truth. It's near. It's kind of near Peoria. It's southwest of Chicago.
And it's they've got waterfalls and trails, and I think they do have cabins where you can like stay overnight if you wanted to. We've never.
They have a lodge. Starved Rock Lodge.
There you go.
But unlike most of Illinois, it's pretty hilly because it's sort of at. I gotta find the little map. I'm looking at the site, but I'm trying to find the map.
I think that's what I miss most about this whole situation is not having being close to like large open spaces, you know, like that, where you can just like get out in the wilderness and things like that. This place, Starved Rock is like, I think 2 hours from
it's something like
Chicago. So not terribly far, but enough that you can just get out there and seem like you're in another world.
We'll edit that out. Coughing at camera. And it's where, you know, it's near the Illinois River, and you know, when you get closer to a river, a lot of times you have hills. One of the downsides to Illinois is it's very flat.
Yes.
If you go far enough south, in way southern Illinois, it's much hillier. And
I think it would be cool to go in the winter, just because then obviously you see that kind of nature, but then also go in the fall when like the leaves are changing and it's like not too hot out and stuff like that. And then we could get hiking shoes for that.
Yeah, right. It is a bit of a. I mean, you can do it in a day trip.
Definitely.
I've done it before, but it is a long way to go.
Yeah, you're a little bit more tired on your way back than you were going down.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So we're just kind of like gearing up and for the new year, and we took a baby hiatus from our workout regime. But having days off, we're gonna get back at that next week, and we ordered groceries, so they're gonna be delivered tomorrow, which is good. I don't think I told you that, but
well, we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, they're coming, and yeah, just kind of see what the new year brings. I think that it'll kind of like settle in once we get back into the work week and everything, that the holidays are actually over, which is always sad to have that happen, but it was good that this year we were able to be home and safe and comfortable in our house, so that was good. And then pajamas.
Yeah, now we gotta take the Christmas tree down.
I just saw a thing where somebody was taking down their Christmas tree, and just imagine like it was in the corner of their living room, and then they tried to pull it from the outside in, and the tree was huge. It was just kind of going in, and then they were able to pull it through the actual window.
They were pulling it outside.
They were pulling it outside
to get rid of it.
to get rid of it. It worked, but it was just kind of like yanking, and then I was like looking at our tree. It's too giant.
I don't think I want to do that. We'd break a window.
We would.
But also we have to put it out in the back, and then the problem is that they don't. The village collects them, and it's actually good because they mulch them. So and then the mulch is available to anybody who wants to use it.
I could take some for our garden.
Yeah, and actually it's not that far away, so
It isn't.
we could get it. But they don't do it every day, and I'm not exactly sure how they do it. But they collect them on the same day that they collect garbage and recycling and whatnot. But that doesn't happen for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So if we take it down now, we have a very narrow alley. So we can't just leave it out there.
Whose huge
Yeah.
tree is that?
It'll take up too much
Have to-
space. So we have to plan for when they start the collection
We
process.
should set it across the alley at the construction site.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it would be like there used to be a quarry in our town, an actual quarry, and you could buy, I don't know, limestone or whatever. But you also get sand from the quarry.
Sand for your sandbox.
We bought sand for the sandbox when we were kids, or my parents did. But they had these these giant pieces of equipment that they used to dig stuff out of the quarry. And for years and years and years, at the top of this giant crane or whatever, or excavator, whatever it was, because you couldn't really see the whole thing from the street. You could just see the part that was vertical. But at the top, they had a Christmas tree and a Santa Claus lit up year round.
Year round.
Right.
And
So-
actually, they just went out of business.
Yeah.
Like a couple years ago. So it had been in our town for probably 100
Well,
years.
and they also one of the big things is they supplied cement companies with whatever material they use to, I'm no structural engineer, but that was one of
They
the
provided
big
stuff
things they
for
did.
that.
Right. So they had a constant source of business, but they finally went out of business. But they had you could see it was the exit where we would get off coming back on the expressway.
Yep.
And you could see from the expressway the crane or excavator, whatever it was, with the Christmas tree and Santa Claus.
I wonder why they did that.
I don't know.
They
And
just
I
didn't-
think it was at one point. I think it had been a live tree, and then it was just like a skeleton of a tree
that just
for
stayed there the whole
years and
time.
years and years, with lights on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I totally forgot about
So
that.
we can do that. We had the crazy. They don't live there anymore, so we can say it. We had a crazy neighbor a couple of years ago. They took their tree out and put it in the backyard. Same idea. We'll put it in the backyard until the village is going to come collect them. Then we'll stick it out in the alley with the garbage cans, right?
Right.
But they had it out in the backyard, and then they just left it there.
Yeah.
And they left it there for months, and then they sold the house. So when they're getting ready to move, they burned the Christmas tree.
Yes.
They cut it in smaller parts and put it in this sort of fake, this not fake, but little fire pit kind of thing. It wasn't in ground. It was
But not only was burning that, but other things that were in
Yeah,
his thing. And
that
I'm like,
they
we
had-
don't have the town that actually you can do that in.
Yeah, they had furniture they wanted to get rid of. So they broke up furniture and threw it in the fire.
Yeah.
And with gasoline, right?
Yeah. That was, and the smell was fantastic.
Yeah. It was like,
So we were happy when those people moved.
yeah. We're not planning a bonfire with the Christmas tree.
Yeah, I know some towns who it's unincorporated. You can like burn stuff in your backyard, but ours is definitely not the town that you can.
You
have
can
a
burn
bon-
things in a fire pit, so you can
Yeah.
burn firewood. You can even burn leaves and things
Right,
like that.
you can
could
roast
do it in a
marshmallows
fire
in your
pit.
backyards.
But the idea, of course, is it's supposed to be a contained space, and
Not a
not that
giant-
much fire.
Yeah,
We were almost had to call 911.
this is the same person, and I can say this because they still don't live here. But when they were redoing the siding on their house,
Yeah.
the guy had kept on dropping like a hammer from his tool belt. He had a beer in his hand and stuff like that.
And a
he had a
smoke.
toddler.
He had a beer and a smoke.
And a toddler that
All the
was
time.
running it back and forth right below him. So it's just kind of like, oh my God, you're
And
gonna hit your son.
He told me that he was a contractor and he did this sort of thing for a living. So I assumed that he knew what he was doing. But it's like, it's only a 2-story house, but it's 2 full stories with an attic. And he was up pretty high
Yeah.
on the scaffold. No safety equipment
Nope.
at all. And I'm
Beer in
sure,
hand.
yeah, beer in hand and a smoke.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I'm 100% certain that when he was working on his job, he was not doing this. I'm sure
Probably
he
not.
had a hard hat and a harness if he was up high enough and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had my cell phone nearby. I was ready to call 911 for when he fell off and impaled himself on the fence. There's always those crazy stories about
Yes.
somebody on a construction site who, I mean, it's gross, but it happens. Who,
Yeah.
it's happened where people have impaled themselves through the head and survived because if
It just happens to go.
if it works the right way, you can survive it. So I was envisioning all these scenarios where I was going to have to call 911 because his wife was, I think, a nurse and she worked, so she wasn't, necessarily there during the day.
Yeah. So
And
that's
in
kinda
those
crazy.
days, of course, I was like one of the only people in the neighborhood who was working from home.
Right.
So I thought, oh great, it's going to be my responsibility to call.
You're at the ready.
Yeah. I'd have the curtain open so I could see if he fell.
That was crazy.
He did not fall,
No.
which I guess is a blessing for all of us.
Yeah.
I would have called 911 despite the aggravation of the
Exactly. Just to help the guy.
burning
out.
furniture and
Yeah.
burning shrubbery and all that stuff.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of relaxing for one last day before we have to get back to work, and then we're just gonna see what the new year takes us to. But we'll definitely keep you informed of our health and wellness journey in 2021 and update you accordingly. If I do get new boots, I'll let you know which ones I get. So in case you need new boots too, or if you have any recommendations, that would be good too.
I'll get the details on my Afghanistan
Yes.
army boots.
Yes.
They are very nice boots. So the guy
I heard that
did
you
not.
can actually buy boots now in January. Like, I wonder if that's
Well,
like
the
something.
problem- the
like,
problem
nobody's
is
going anywhere. So
You definitely could, and I'm sure you could order from REI. But the problem is you want to be able to try them on.
I
It's
know.
not like a shirt. You
Yeah.
want to be able to actually try it on.
and because
So-
I'm a half size, then it's kind of 7.5. Sometimes a 7.5 is perfect, and sometimes an 8 is what you need.
Right, and like with running shoes where they always tell you to go half a size up, which doesn't work for everybody because I would get stress fractures if my shoes were too big.
Yeah.
That's
it's
a whole
like
different
to leave
story.
room for your feet to swell when you run longer
We could do an
distances.
entire episode on running related injuries that we
We
suffered
could.
over the years. And trips to the emergency room, broken collarbone, broken ankle.
Yeah, that could be. We'll dedicate an episode to that because it's a lot.
It's a lot.
But anyway, I hope you guys have a good weekend. The rest of the weekend, let us know what you're doing and what you're up to this weekend. If you're taking down your decorations too, if you had them, and we will be in touch soon. And have a great rest of the weekend. Bye, everybody.
Bye.